Imagine realizing one day that you've been wasting something priceless. Not money or possessions, but your time. This is the story of a young boy named James, and how one lesson from his wise grandfather changed his life forever. James was like any carefree teenager. He often said, "I'll get to it later." He believed he had all the time in the world. Most of his days were spent lounging around, scrolling through his phone, and chatting with friends. Whenever there was anything remotely challenging, he'd find a way to avoid it. His grandfather, a man full of wisdom and life experience, noticed James's habits and decided to teach him a lesson he'd never forget. One day, the grandfather called James over and handed him an old, intricately designed pocket watch. "This watch has been passed down through our family for generations," the grandfather said. "I want you to take it to the local marketplace and ask how much it's worth." Though curious, James didn't think much of it. He went to the bustling marketplace and showed the watch to a street vendor. The vendor gave it a quick glance and scoffed, saying, "This old thing? It's scratched and outdated. I can give you $10 for it." James returned home and shared what the vendor said. His grandfather chuckled softly. "Now take it to the pawn shop," he instructed. "See what they'll offer." James followed his grandfather's instructions. At the pawn shop, the broker examined the watch carefully and said, "It's an interesting piece. I can offer you $100 for it." This offer surprised James. Why was it valued higher here than at the marketplace? Before he could ask, his grandfather smiled and gave him one final task. "Now take the watch to the museum," he said. "Show it to the curator and ask for its value." Though puzzled, James obeyed. He arrived at the museum and showed the pocket watch to the curator. The curator's eyes widened in amazement. "Where did you get this?" he asked, barely able to contain his excitement. James explained that the watch had been in his family for generations. The curator smiled warmly and said, "This is a rare antique, one of extraordinary craftsmanship and history. It's worth at least $100,000. It belongs in a collection." James could hardly believe his ears. He rushed back home and recounted everything to his grandfather. His grandfather listened patiently and then said, "You see, James, the value of that watch never changed. It was always the same. What changed was where it was taken. At the marketplace, they didn't see its true worth. At the pawn shop, they recognized part of its value. But at the museum, a place that truly understands its significance, its real worth was appreciated." He paused and then said, "Time is just like that pocket watch. If you waste it on trivial things, it will seem cheap and meaningless. But if you spend it wisely, on learning, growing, and spending time with loved ones, it becomes priceless." That moment was a turning point for James. He started waking up with purpose, planning his days, and focusing on what truly mattered. He still spent time with friends, but now it was intentional and meaningful. He realized that every second he used wisely was shaping his future. Time is the most precious resource you have. You can lose money and earn it back, but time, once gone, is gone forever. Don't waste it. Spend it on things that matter. Make every moment count. So, how will you use your time today? Will you let it slip away, or will you make it meaningful? The choice is yours. Thank you for being here and listening to this story. If you found it inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe to Soul Scripted for more life-changing lessons. See you in the next video.